We are here at Walker Reserve to see a nice little Saturday morning game between Mitcham and Nunawading. I'm joined by Trent. How are you, Trent?
G'day Will, nice to be here. The rain looks to have surpassed and hopefully an exciting encounter awaits.
Absolutely. Nice looking oval here in Mitcham.
So it'll be 5th and 6th taking on each other in Division 3 of the Deakin Uni Senior Women's competition. Both sides have one win against their name on the board, so that was against Muralbark, so both looking to improve on that today.
Absolutely. We'll see one of those teams get to 2 wins for the season today. Should be a pretty even clash by that measure, Trent.
Should be. I can't say who I'm tipping. It'll be a flip of the coin, I think, today. But we'll wait and find out over the next 2 hours, I guess.
Absolutely. Hopefully the conditions, as you said earlier, just ease up. We don't get too much more rain, and we can see some free-flowing football.
We were lucky enough to be joined by the Nunawading senior women's coach Trevor Haig on the EFNL podcast of the Female Footy Focus during the week. And look, he just had a few words to say about how he's pleased with their progression. Look, that's all he was probably after for this season. Didn't set any lofty standards. Just wanted to see the girls grow, and in fact there was only two of them that have ever played a senior women's game. So he had that to say during the week on the Female Footy Focus podcast on Spotify.
Yeah, wow. As we see the Mitcham girls stride out to the middle.
Run out onto their home deck. The yellow and black strip.
Good to see. Is that one? I think one long sleeve out there.
One's long sleeve. Big fan of the long sleeve.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe Catherine Rascoli rocking in the sleeves.
All over it, Will.
Absolutely. I'm a big long sleeves man, Trent. This is the perfect day for it.
Yep.
Did you ever wear sleeves back in your time?
I did. Played last week, filled in for Coldstream and done the long sleeve.
Good.
There.
Very loyal. It's an exclusive group.
I'll tell you what, it's a bit of a change seeing the teams back in their traditional outfits, not wearing the pink clothing.
That was very good last week. I enjoyed that.
Back to the red ball.
Yeah, back to the red ball. Harder to see.
What a shame.
Yep. Pink ball, good for day-night football as it is for day-night cricket, but
definitely could get used to that.
this is a day for the traditionalist with the red ball in full flight at Walker Reserve.
So just waiting on Nunawading to run out. Play not too far away here at Walker Park Reserve.
What was your favourite pre-game drill when you're on the ground, Trent?
You can't go past the lane work. Just kick to kick, gets the energy levels up, and they're in tight at the moment doing the handball crisscross.
It's an impressive crisscross they're doing.
Yep.
A lot of energy.
Clean skills on display. We'll see what happens when the pressure and stuff comes to the contest. Just a heads up to our listeners, we've been given a team sheet with no numbers or anything. I think Nunawading have changed their jerseys, so forgive us in advance if we get a few names wrong or we're a bit slow in calling players' names, but
We'll absolutely try our best.
that we will. But no, certainly looking forward to today's clash. A lot on the line for both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of just keep kick-starting their season. I think it's never easy with one win. It's always easier with 2 wins on the board than one. That's what I'm trying to say.
Got there in the end.
Yeah, we did. Nice little group of spectators around the ground as well.
Yeah,
Which is good to
slowly
see.
building, slowly building. Not sure if the seniors are at home today or not. But nah, hopefully Nunawading, obviously both teams in their first year in the league, so but Nunawading with their win last week, hopefully that can kickstart their season and they can build on that, and hopefully 2 on the trot today would be nice. And Trevor Haig, like we mentioned before, um, he'll be very proud of the effort nonetheless today.
Still just waiting here for the Nunawading girls to run out. Can't be too far away, I wouldn't have thought.
It's tactical, I think. It's a bit cold and blistery out there, and they're just waiting on Mitcham. They're standing out there in the cold.
Certainly keeping as warm as they possibly can. Still running, doing the crisscross handball.
I've just been informed, Will, I was wrong about Mitcham playing at home today. They are in fact away at Montrose, so if you're looking to head down there this afternoon to watch a bit of senior footy action, Montrose reserve it is.
Absolutely.
As Nunawading take the field, Will.
Yeah. Now we are looking to get warm. Maybe make up for the time that Mitcham have spent nailing their crisscross handball drill.
You a fan of that jersey, that strip?
Do like it, yeah. It reminds me, shades of Fitzroy in the
Shades
olden
of Fitzroy,
days.
yeah.
More the colour than the pattern.
Similar colour, yeah, I was going to say.
Not quite a carbon copy pattern-wise, but
It's unique, I'll put it that way.
yeah, I'm for a unique jersey. They're hard to come by, I think, with the more AFL teams that are coming out in local football.
So just waiting on the umpires, and play look to be underway shortly for a 10:40 start.
Did you catch any of the footy last night, Trent?
I did. I sat through the whole game on the couch there. Our TV's not working, so I was just stuck to the laptop, but
Oh, really?
enjoyed it for sure. Love seeing Collingwood get done.
It's always a pleasure.
I'm a Blues fan, so there's a bit of a rivalry there.
Yeah, that'll check out.
Who do you follow?
I'm a Crows man.
Crows
South
man,
Australia,
okay.
So, it's been so. I mean, they've been good so far this year, but I think they got a little bit of a hiding last week against Carlton.
Yeah, I was
Your
going to
mob?
remind you there.
Yep.
But
Hear that a few times today, but no, they're a young, improving team. Yeah, a nice mixture of youth and
Yep.
age, as well as a couple of up-and-comers like Ben Keys.
Ben Keys traded him in Scoach this week, so
Oh, really?
or the week before, the week prior, sorry, but certainly like the look of him. He's a good two-way runner.
Looking to see, not that there is a fantasy competition at these games today, but just seeing who just racks up the points. A few ball winners with. Certainly enough size on the ground to be able to find your own space. As we said, hopefully some free-flowing football. It won't be too congested.
Yeah, big, wide wings here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Played a lot of cricket here, and it's short square, but
Can you explain the 60-metre synthetic pitch down the middle of the oval? I've never seen anything like it. It's, yeah. That is one thing I will say I haven't understood coming from South Australia, is the number of synthetic turfs in the middle of the ground, with no sand over the top of them. It's a concussion waiting to happen, Trent. Hopefully we don't see any today. But
no, fingers
it's
crossed.
certainly something that, I've not seen before. Until now. Two Nunawading captains, captain and vice captain potentially. They run to the middle for the toss. Which way would you be kicking, Trent? Left or right or camera?
Don't think it matters early, does it?
Slight wind to the right.
To the right, okay. Thanks, Jane.
That's what I'm here for. Viewers at home don't know.
So, Nakori is one of the Nunawading captains, and for Mitcham,
Try and get a sneak peek of that number.
waiting for her to turn her back on us. Seem to be in no real hurry to get underway here.
It's always a good sign when we see a helping member searching for a coin to get the toss underway.
Can you tell who won that?
No, there wasn't really any adverse reaction from either side. Having said that, Campbell heading back to the Mitcham huddles.
Yep.
Give me a little double cobra.
Ali Campbell it is, the Mitcham captain.
So I think we'll go out on a limb and say Mitcham won the toss.
Yep, she did seem pretty pleased with their call of heads or tails there.
There's only two options, Trent. Thank you, Sandra. Just another shout out to our watchers and viewers at home watching this stream. It's a pleasure to have you, and we're hoping to be able to bring you a good game of football between Trent and I being Will.
I'll let you do the honours, Will. You can kickstart us off here.
All set and ready to go. Thank you, Trent. We see the red ball. Back to tradition after last week's pink ball game that we televised. Underway here at Walker Reserve. Two ruckmen go at it. Nice little win in the ruck by Hannah Linnett early on. As a bit of a scrambled ball towards the left of screen. And we see our first stoppage for the day, Trent.
Could be a sign of things to come. It's a bit wet out there from the rain last night, obviously, and could be a little scruffy affair early.
Just hovering around the 50. Nice little gang tackle there, and that will see a free kick to Mitcham. Not quite sure who in the hands of yet. Either way, it was a good team effort, Trent.
So it'll be Stokes who takes the kick in. She'll look to send it deep inside forward 50. It's a high up and under. Nunawading stands underneath it, and they'll hold a good chest mark. Nakori, the captain, one of the two captains today, and takes a good chest mark deep inside defensive 50 to intercept. She'll send it long on the outer wing side. Nunawading look to be in pursuit.
That was a very impressive kick out of defensive 50 from Nakori, Trent. That was a serious cannon of the leg.
She's got a good leg on her. It'll find itself on the centre wing side as a ball up again. Won by the Nunawading ruckman. A kick forward smothered. Body's crushing in, falling down, and it'll be another stoppage.
Catherine Roscoli going hard at the ball early there. Good signs, as we mentioned before, in the sleeves. Also a good start from Hannah Linnett in the ruck. She's won several hit-outs so far. Only a couple minutes into the game.
So Linnett again, hit out to advantage. Rascoli sends a high up and under. Unable to mark was Backman. In the back line it was, and it'll be another ball up.
Fitting.
Nice little play on words there.
Again.
We're going to have fun with that today.
Nice little win out of the ruck there by Colin. Grabs it herself and tries to scramble it forward. Mitcham regain the ball, and that'll be in the back. Maddie Clark goes out wide. Nice little attempted intercept mark there from Walker. Nunawading kicked the ball forward. Good clearance kick. Scrambling in the middle of the ground by the synthetic turf. It's a hot potato out there early, and we'll see a high tackle awarded the way of Nunawading. Marshall kicks to the left side of the field. And that'll be their first inside 50 for the day, as we might see a stoppage here right on the 50. Some good long kicks so far, Trent. It's good.
So first real look at it for Nunawading. It's sits on the arc of their forward 50. Mitcham scrummage a kick inboard. It'll trickle. Mitcham lead the race. That was in fact Newport. She sits at the bottom of the pack there.
Good tackle from Marshall, Nunawading.
Stands out in those fluorescent red boots. So to be cooling in the ruck. Uses her body well.
Ferocious from Walker on our side of the wing. DeMart just pushes back in an attempt to go forward. Now see the ball socked across the middle of the pitch.
You mentioned DeMart there. She's donned the Aaron Norton headband.
Good to see, making waves locally. Now Corey goes long again with an awesome kick. Tries to spot up one of her teammates on the far wing. As we've spoken about earlier, Trent, metres gained has been very, very impressive so far. Some very good kicks on both sides today.
We mentioned this the week prior, but the ability to gain territory in these wet weather conditions
So
is
important.
proved vital, and was partly the reason Heathmont got the job done last week.
Absolutely. Another good kick forward inside 50. The real first look, proper first look at it for Nunawading. Nice little escape kick there from Mitcham that I only see so far as the far pocket. And we'll see another ball up.
So this was much of the game last week. The ball allergic to this near wing side. Testing our eyesight as Nunawading scrummage a kick forward into the path of the waiting Mitcham arms.
Strong tackling early doors, Trent.
Handball in tight. It'll be Bogard trying to clear. The ball on the deck where you'd think it'd spend most of its time throughout the day.
Just to pick up on a kick that went inside 50, the first proper one from Nunawading before, you could see the way that the ball skidded off the turf, that it really is wet out there. May not be raining too heavy at the moment, but that will certainly play a part in conditions going forward.
Can't say I've had a look at conditions, but just scanning above, it seems to just be overcast. No real rain.
Only some very light drizzle at the moment.
No real rain on the horizon, but we'll wait and see. Will's the weatherman for today as Mitcham clearing kick. They run it out of defensive 50. The ball trickled back to the centre square. And it'll be Nakori again who drives it back where it came from. So it'll be Dowler who tracks it. She's with a clean pickup. Handball inboard to Bogard. She'll drive it further inside 50. Off hands. The ball at ground level. Mitcham with a hurried kick to a dangerous spot. The ball bubbling about. The umpire blows his whistle to signal another ball up. Will.
Rebecca Heppel's been quite good at full back there, Trent. She's stopped a couple balls almost in the goalkeeper role. There's two of them now down there in their defensive goal square. Just hovering, make sure nothing gets past them in these slippery conditions. So we see another ball up. Oh, there we go. Umpire holds his whistle. Good call. Ball scrambling about 30 metres out from Nunawading's goal. So they look to score the first of today. And a nice little mark there. Played on. Dowler kicks the first of the day. Very, very quick reaction there. Was well spotted about 15 metres out from goal, marked it, and had absolutely no hesitations, Trent, in just going straight for the big sticks. And that is the first one on the board for Nunawading.
It might have been a touch ball going forward, so it was quick, smart thinking from Dowler, like you said. And it was the headband wearing DeMarty who spotted her up in congestion.
Absolutely. It's a good pick up. I didn't realise it was touched, but that would explain the rushed response. Nonetheless, still just as impressive.
So Nunawading draw first blood here at Walker Park Reserve.
Surplus coming onto the ground now for Nunawading. Just roaming up forward. The mark gets busy for Nunawading. We see another inside 50. Mitcham looks to just regain a little bit of composure here coming out of the back half. Couple handballs. sees us with a stoppage just outside Nunawading's 50 on our side, Trent, for a change.
Rascoli it was, who it was almost stacks on at the bottom of the pack there. The two rucks go at it. And it'll be straight in the waiting arms of a Mitcham midfielder who's set upon. So ball up again.
Ball scrambles inside 50 for Nunawading from a stoppage. Been good at that so far, just gaining some ground every stoppage.
Not sure if you noticed that. Number 28 in front of us here for Nunawading just took the field. No one coming off, so...
Keen. It's good to see players keen here, Trent.
It's passion. Love to see it here on the EFNL coverage.
That'd be Bethany's staff. Running onto the ground and just coming back and just keeping warm for when that official rotation does happen. As of now, she'll have to wait as there's another stoppage inside her forward 50. Mitcham desperately trying to just gain some ground, really. It's been really hovering around that 50-metre line. They haven't been able to get it too much further than that these first 10 minutes of the game. Dangerous spot in the pocket here. Clark from Nunawading went in hard. And Nunawading seem to be really well set up behind the ball here.
They've set up a wall, Will, and it's the reason why that ball has been locked in and not left their forward 50.
It's an interesting setup from Mitcham going forward. Our side of the wing, there really isn't much. There's a lot of space and not a lot of players with what looks like any intent to lead in there. But as we see, a more centred ball into Nunawading's 50 on the outskirts. Oh, yeah, that'll be a throw. And Mitcham have a chance here, Trent, to just regain themselves some composure.
It was a good throw at that.
It
Too
was.
bad the umpire was standing in position there, right. He had eyes for it right there. But it'll be Mitcham now. We drive it down the line. Nakori, she's been everywhere early. As they pile on. And a quick kicked forward by Nunawading. They fight for it at ground level. No clear winner of possession. The ball squirting about. Umpire hovering. And he'll ball it up now as it was Rascoli at the bottom of the pack again. So ball up now. Quick kick forward by the ruckman Gallant.
Great pick up from Jennings there. Not easy in the wet. She'll go again for second efforts. Playing one-on-one with her defender. Whalen, good pick up, goes forward. Tries to find Clark on the far wing. And Clark probably gets a win there for Nunawading. Lets them reset 65 out on the far wing from their goal. Never a bad situation when you find yourself getting a stoppage from a clearance like that, Trent. Especially the way that Nunawading have set up behind the ball so far today. Ball just hovering right on the boundary line. Neither team can seem to get it over. As we see a nice little spiral go inside forward 50 for Nunawading.
It was an inside-out barrel by the ruckman Nunawading.
Not to be confused with a torpedo.
The ball trickling about, bubbling about. A handball's out.
Smart tried to gather that. Breaking through packs here are the Nunawading players. Sutherland looking to get her hands on it. As we see Mitcham soccer it out of defence. Only as far as the boundary line.
Although DeMart sends it back towards goal and it trickles. Don't tell me. Don't tell me, Will. Somehow, something out of nothing from DeMart. She's kicked a left foot Bunana and it somehow found its way into the mouth of the goal. Trickling through for a 6-pointer. Nunawading with a 2-goal break early.
That is one of the more remarkable goals I have ever seen. Firstly, for the position to get that goal, or to get a look on goal rather, done very, very well to scramble out of a very busy forward pocket. And then just the nature of it just rolling into the goal.
That was magic, Will. I'd almost shut up shop. I thought it was a boundary throw in out on the far side there, but an opportunistic snap.
Well guarded as well on the line by the Nunawading forward.
Shepherded through, you're right.
Bogard goes forward again for Nunawading. So we see the ball just effortlessly rolling around the 50 at this point for Nunawading. Their full forward grabs it as a nice little snap on goal. Not sure if she was trying to find Marshall in the pocket, but instead finds the boundary line. And that'll be a free kick to Mitcham.
So Marshall unable to collect there, and that'll mean the last touch rule goes the way of Mitcham here in their right defensive pocket, back pocket rather.
Heffel sees that with her right boot.
So she sends a kick to the waiting arms of Demart again. It'll be Walker though that sends a dribbling kick forward, travelling about 15. Nunawading unable to get boot to ball there. As the ball's kicked up, and they've got another, would you believe, Will?
3 on the board.
3 on the board early. I'm not sure if you can attach a name to that. Number 32, it was in fact. Standing there, she received in traffic there and was able to kick a good goal off one step.
The Miranda Farrago. She's been a good presence up forward so far. She'll come to the bench after her efforts. Jessie Griffiths.
If you were to tell me Nunawading would have gained a 3-goal break early in this first term, Will, I probably wouldn't have believed you.
No, Mitcham did have it early doors, as we see a huge leaping attempt in the ruck there by Chloe Stokes. Looking to inject some energy in for Mitcham as they look to regain the early momentum they had. As our girl Rascoli gets it forward in the long sleeves, as I'm sure you hear us say many a times today. Nice little gather there by Semmons. Unable to gain too much ground with it. A lot of cycling off the ground, Trent. Again, a sign of the conditions that we're playing in.
Yep, Demart and Walker it is. They're throwing their weight around in there. It's good to see. As a quick kick's dribbled forward to the broadcasting side wing here. A 2-on-1 situation in favour of Nunawading at ground level. And they collect it and drive it forward. Back to that synthetic pitch. It crosses. A soccer off the ground attempt by Nunawading to no avail will in turn mean a ball up.
Luca Grace Clark from Nunawading. She's been a good little presence up forward so far, playing as a smaller forward for them. Good pressure and applying a lot of energy.
So Linnett again wins the hit out. And it'll be Rascoli collects at ground level. She was pushed fiercely in the back. She's stayed down, and in fact it went unrewarded.
She's a tough girl, Trent.
She's back to her feet now. Good signs. As another bump's laid.
Solid bump. Good from Megan Fogarty.
She did catch Bogard high in that tackling effort, so it'll be a Nunawading free kick.
Must have been just. I like the intent. No malice, just hard at the football.
So she'll drive it forward. A pack forms and the mark's been taken.
It was an awesome mark.
By Pedro it was. I hope I've pronounced that right, but a great intercept chest mark there. Standing up amongst tall timber in defence.
Back with the flight. Coolan applies tackle pressure for Nunawading. Walker picks up the remains of that, sends it long forward, right in the boundary.
And last touch rule goes the way of Mitcham. So good signs, good tough signs here for both sides. They seem to be up for the fight early.
Tackling coming onto the ground for Nunawading. Sprints towards the back line. We see Stokes go forward for Mitcham. Nice little pick up 60 metres out from Mitcham's goal. Sees another kick forward. Sock it out towards the boundary line. Haven't seen it at this part of the ground yet. A clean pick up from Enola Zamet. Given off to Semmons, who kicks it forward. Another soccer out of defence by Nunawading. Another one. Can we see 3? No. Yeah. So it's everywhere, Trent. The soccer's everywhere.
So Walker, she picks up at ground level. She's caught high in the process.
Rascoli looking very good around the ball, but just catches Walker height. She stands the mark in Nunawading, Trent. They get another chance to reset and go forward.
I just want to touch on that promising look though that Mitcham had there. In transition, they sort of got it deep inside forward 50 for probably the first time in a while, you'd have to say. As the ball's kicked inside Nunawading's forward 50 now, and it'll be Griffiths who tracks it. She attempts an off the ground soccer. Was probably in danger. Although Mitcham still fighting for it at ground level. It'll be another Nunawading forward who emerges. Marshall's tackled in the process.
That's going to be a free kick.
And she will gift a free kick the way of Mitcham as we near in on quarter time. So high up and under, 1-on-1 situation. It'll be Nunawading who collects at ground level through Coolin. She's been lively early. She goes again, second efforts there. This is Mitcham, look to clear.
Oh. Ellie Campbell, who's just come from the bench, she gets straight into it on our side of the wing, going forward, as we see soccering and a clean pickup from Jackie. Unfortunately, doesn't gain too much ground with it. And Nunawading go forward again, gaining a good 50 metres going forward. The ball falconed in the process. Probably Stokes tries to get the ball forward. In what was the last play for the term?
So a fresh air attempted kick by Stokes there will end the term on that note. As another Nunawading player slow to her feet rather.
On the synthetic turf, Trent. We did touch on this earlier.
Fingers crossed she's all right. Looks to be in a world of hurt as trainers and the likes rush to her aid.
A leg injury, I would say. Presumably on impact.
A sad note to end on if she is injured, because Nunawading had a terrific first term, Will. A 3-goal advantage. A 3-goal buffer will lead them into the second term, as can't quite picture who that is, but she's back to her feet in some sort of way.
In a form. Trent in a form as she gets carried with both legs off the ground. Yeah, just been told it looks like it's the right knee of concern. Hopefully she's okay. She does look in a fair bit of discomfort, but she's in good hands, Trent. We'll let them take care of that. You can see her clapped from the ground by her teammates. And a nice sign.
So that'll do it for the coverage or the broadcast of the first term here. We'll be back shortly with the second quarter. Welcome back, listeners, to the coverage of the Deakin Uni Women's Senior Women's competition. We're at Walker Park Reserve here, Mitcham taking on Nunawading. I just want to circle back to a conversation we had pre-game, Will, about the fact Nunawading kept Mitcham out there waiting in the cold.
They did.
It seems to be paying dividends.
They did, and it was a good 10-15 minutes they were warming up. It was very productive of Mitcham, but Nunawading, they've just come out firing. I would argue the first few minutes Mitcham were on top. How much that played a part, I'm not too sure, but after the first 3 or 4 minutes, they just absolutely took them to the arguably the cleaners with their inside 50 work. Mitcham did fight back towards the end, but we'll start the second term with you now, Trent.
No worries. So, ball up again in the centre circle. The hit out will be one the way of Nunawading. The ball trickling about. Mitcham seem to be in pursuit. The ball bubbling about still. Rascoli, as she's done all day, getting her hands and hands and feet dirty.
She's been good early, Trent. Her attack on the ball and the player as well, when tackling, has been great. So we see a nice little pitch forward for Mitcham. I'm interested to see if that's the scoring end to the right of screen, Trent. It's a term that's often used in cricket. You can't judge a pitch until both teams have batted on it, and that could be the case. Just seeing Mitcham going to the right of screen. Nice little hit out there for Nunawading. Mitcham go forward. A good drop punt lurking around the forward 50 is Chloe Stokes applies pressure.
To the Nakori kick down the line. It'll be a one-on-one pursuit. Good bump laid by the Mitcham.
Megan Fogarty.
It was.
Chloe Stokes will go again. In and around the ball. Great attack.
So if you're just tuning us, the score here, Mitcham, well, they're scoreless, and Nunawading 3 straight 18. So a 3-goal buffer heading into the second term here. That is all without one of their more experienced players in Hardy for Nunawading. So
Scully gets pushed in the back, and that'll definitely be a free kick. Gets reward for getting to the ball first, Trent. Certainly been one of the better players for Mitcham so far.
not sure if it's the long sleeves that are standing out, but
I'm slightly biased, but no, she's been very, very good.
So Nakori again driving through traffic.
Wow.
She'll send a long kick into the waiting arms of a Mitcham defender, unable to complete the mark. And a good tackle laid there.
Crowd starting to get vocal.
It was Sutherland.
I heard a few holding the balls just thrown around in the crowd there.
Slowly but surely building here at Walker Park Reserve.
Yeah, getting involved.
Feel free to pop in if you're in the area. It's Mitcham and Nunawading, two cross-town rivals, if you like, taking on each other in the Div 3 clash.
Nice exit ball by Mitcham. Yet again through a soccer as De Boer finds herself in and around the ball. Arguably taken by the Nunawading defender without it, but we'll see a stoppage either way.
That was Walker who laid the tackle there.
Ball goes back up again. The two ruckmen collide. Great pick up there by DeMart. Tries to go forward, but ends up going sideways. Marshall charging towards the ball, directly in line with her opponent. As Holloway gets it forward for Mitcham. And we'll see a stoppage on the far side. Walker and Roscoli, the two battling for the ball on the ground.
It's a match-up to keep your eyes on, I think, throughout the afternoon here.
Absolutely.
Or morning, rather.
Wherever you are in the world.
A good smother applied there by the Mitcham defender. She'll track it at ground level, pushed as she tried to collect. Although DeMart, though, sends it high up and under to a 2-on-1 situation. Into the waiting arms. Is that
Farrago?
Farrago sends a flying shot goalward, off target, through for a minor score. So their first blemish of the day here for Nunawading. Mitcham scoreless, Nunawading 3-1-19 is the scoreline.
Good to see Holloway with the first kick out today. Tries going forward towards our side. Nearly found a Nunawading opponent. As the ball scrapped around on the ground. Stuff in and amongst it. Good tackle there from Fogarty. We see another soccer forward. Gaining ground for Mitcham. Bogart found the ball and was tackled.
I think she collected Rascoli across the mouth there. Accidental, of course, but she looks to pick herself up, and
She's a tough nut, Trent.
she is. She called her name a few times today.
Another
As
ball up.
the whistle's blown again. Umpires setting their keep again this weekend, Will.
They absolutely, in what is probably a more free-flowing game than what we saw last week between Montrose and Heathmont in Division 2.
It's certainly opened up in the latter stages of that first term, and it's on show again in the early stages of this second term, so a lot more free-flowing.
Nice little escape there, and that'll be a clearance to Whalen. Mitcham solid in defence, and they'll rebound it back out.
And it was a nutmeg through the Mitcham legs as the soccer off the ground goes forward again.
Good handball from Staff.
A quick handball in traffic goes the way of Sutherland. And it'll be at ground level. She's collected, she's set upon, held without it, unrewarded. Mitcham fighting in defence here, as the Nunawading bench applauds that defensive stop.
Good tackle from De Boer there. Goes back and finds her opponent in Farrago. Rain starting to come back down a little bit heavier, Trent, as the ball finds the boundary. It'll be a free kick to Nunawading with the last touch rule.
So it'll be the captain, Nakori. Again, I hope I've got the pronunciation of that name right.
Powerful
She
kick
wheels
going
around.
forward.
She sends a long ball deep inside forward 50. It skids off. And off the ground soccer there by the Nunawading forward.
It's a wild attempt at a soccer off the ground from Holloway as well, from Mitcham.
As we see another ball up as the rain starts to pelt down here at Walker Park Reserve.
Solid hit out from Lynette there.
Damati sends a high up and under forward. Off hands. And it'll be a 2-on-1 contest at ground level. Mitcham win out. Although Nunawading wrestle the ball back. And they'll create another forward half stoppage, Will.
Dalla got the handball out there, gave it off to a teammate, but her teammate was very quickly wrapped up, forcing that stoppage. Good hit out there from Lynette. She's been good the last couple of minutes with the stoppages. We'll see more of them with the rain pelting down now. Mitcham get the ball out, but there's a great breakaway from Marshall, who finds Farrago.
So Marshall and Farrago working in tandem as they look to drive it forward. Once more, it'll be Walker at ground level with a dumping tackle,
There's a very good
paving
level
the
of
way
aggression here.
for Farrago.
Controlled aggression is the term I'd like to use, Trent. Just good, hard players going at the ball, going at the player, no malice.
So Nunawading with all the play in the opening stages of this second term as they look to gain more ascendancy with the scoreboard pressure. The two rucks go at it, not for the last time today.
Correct. Good game tackle there from Nunawading, but it sees a high.
Rascoli it was. Will be awarded, Will.
Rewarded for putting her head over the ball, Trent. It's good to see. Even more important in wet weather football, especially with a lot of the soccering that's going on. As we see a good intercept mark from Nunawading, and they'll go inside 50 again. A cannon left boot sees a high ball. Several players jump under it. Farrago picks it up, and we'll see a stoppage.
She's been prominent in that forward arc
A good presence.
for Nunawading. Seems to be the main target going forward. The two rucks go at it again. Rascoli on her hands and knees again.
Great tackle to Mark.
The ball's bubbling about. There's a driving kick on the outer wing side.
Good kick out from Holloway.
A clearing ball by Mitcham. as Nunawading lead the race, although a throw's been picked out by the umpire in position, and it'll go the way of Nunawading.
Surplus getting ready to come back on for Nunawading, replacing Sutherland. Should run into the forward pocket, I think.
As a Mitcham player departs the field.
Potential corky there, maybe Trent. That's Campbell. Attempted kick out there by Mitcham, but DeMart just gets it straight back into the mix-up. Griffiths was getting busy, didn't quite get her hands to it. Farrago in there as well. Very solid tackle from Holloway, sees another ball up, edging ever so closer to the Nunawading goals, Trent.
Inch by inch. So Mitcham now with a long ball.
Cannon kick from De Boer, I think that was.
It'll clear the pack. Nakori leads the race on that synthetic deck.
Oh, great pressure from the Mitcham forwards. That's what they need to do to keep it down their end, Trent. Zamet just lurking out the back there. If we see another good clearance like we did just then, could be a foot race. Desperate for a goal here, Mitcham. As we see Roscoli get amongst it. Not her kick this time. Nunawading go forward.
Through Nakori it was, and Walker in pursuit. She'll lay a bump on the Mitcham forward, and Farrago off the ground. Soccer will travel about 20 metres. Nunawading picks up at ground level, although she's set upon with a slinging tackle and awarded.
That's Holloway again, Trent. She's been very, very good down back. I'd argue she's probably saved a couple shots on goal this term.
That's that gatekeeper role that you talked about before. She'll drive it down the line, and it may in fact trickle out. So rather unlucky there, as possession is awarded to Farrago for Nunawading to send it back inside 50.
Probably higher up the ground. Oh, I was just about to say a little bit higher up the ground than what we would have liked. From a Nunawading perspective, she probably wants to be down in there for this kick. She's been a good target so far for them.
So this wet weather playing into the hands of Nunawading early.
Points on the board early.
As Marshall tracks it, she gets her hands free. It'll be a one-on-one situation at ground level. Another great tackling. I've been impressed with that. Demarty at ground level. She'll send a snapping kick the way of Mitcham. As Nakori, she's got a good leg on her. A one-on-one stands underneath it. And it'll be Holloway again. She collects at ground level. And a clearing kick, although only momentarily as it's sent back from where it came.
Oh,
a spinning pirouette by Dowler in congestion will find the way of a Mitcham or Nunawading forward with her kick goal with sent across the face.
An attempted shot on goal there from Sutherland, but that'll be out of bounds on the full, and we'll see Holloway bring it back in. I know we touched on it only just a few minutes ago, Trent. Her and Heppel standing on the last line of defence for Mitcham. They've been good. So we see Holloway kick forward, tries to find Campbell. She goes out the back. Lynette, the ruckman for Mitcham, tries to pick it up. Campbell gets it back, knees it forward. As the Nunawading forward line tries to get busy, but there's not enough space for them to do so, and instead they force a stoppage.
So I'm not sure if the crowd's building here, Will, or it's just the fact that we're sitting underneath the stands here, undercover.
Certainly
and everyone's just flocked to surround us here.
I heard the word on the street was actually because they can hear us from here. They can hear us commentate, Trent. Certainly not what they came for, but...
So Demarty applies a good smother as we look back out onto the field.
Kick forward from Botel.
It'll be Dowler at ground level who sends a flying shot goalward. An opportunistic snap again as they send another goal on the board. One-way traffic here, Will.
Not easy to find space in wet weather football, Trent, and there wasn't a lot of it there, but Dowler did a very good job at just sneaking through a couple of hands, attempting to smother, and that sees the fourth goal, as you said, for Nunawading.
She's shown good evasiveness, has Dowler. In traffic there, managing a right foot snap straight over the goal umpire's hat.
Really is hard. Just looking now for Mitcham, Chloe Stokes has been sent into the ruck, replacing Linnett, who's done a good job so far today. Stokes will look to inject as she goes. A nice little hit forward, and they've gained a good 15 metres as we see soccer off the ground from Campbell. And all of a sudden, Trent, it's 20 metres out from Mitcham's goal in the space of 5 seconds. Good pick up there from Backman. Sees an elusive handball out. Nunawading scrambling to get it out of their defensive 50. Finds Stokes, who's well set up behind the ball. She soccers very well to Campbell. They've had a nice little couple of connections the last minute, Trent.
And good energies there with the full wingspan Shepherd.
Absolutely,
as
Brad Hollis.
Corey looks to emerge with a clearing kick straight down the corridor. It's a one-on-one situation as
good fist in there from Fogarty.
A Nunawading player on her hands and knees looking to burst through. Was 22 for Nunawading.
Great tackle from Stokes.
And she's set upon by Stokes.
The barometer potentially this term, Trent. She's just been sent into the engine room.
Could be a bit of coaching genius there by Mitcham, sending her in the ruck.
Kick too. Great mark from your girl, Nakori. Trent, she's been very good so far today off half back.
She plays on to advantage quickly. Sends it forward and off the ground soccer. Will trickle out off the feet of Nunawading. Not rewarded, so Dowler it was. So a little bit of a stalemate here as play seems to have been mostly generated between the arcs here as
Surplus gets involved.
Another ball up. So what do you make of this contest so far, Will?
I think just with Mitcham at the
Question
moment.
without notice, sorry.
No, I love it. They've been good so far. As we see the ball, touch on it in the second, Trent. Good kick forward for Mitcham as we see potential burst here. That was Jennings who gathered the ball, but a great defensive effort from Nunawading. Marshall gets a handball out. Roscoli in and amongst it again on the ground. As we see Marshall and Candeloro go one-on-one in the middle of the ground. Mitcham desperate to see an inside 50 here. Candeloro gets the better of her opponent and kicks it forward in a spiral. See if we can get some hands on the ball before it goes out of bounds unsuccessfully.
So it was Zamet who tracked it there.
Your question just earlier, Trent, making of the second term. I think Nunawading have been good and Mitcham haven't been bad, but when the ball's in their forward 50 so often Nunawading, it's eventually going to tire out Mitcham, and I think that's exactly what we saw with that first goal of the second term. Relentless energy and pressure that will eventually pay dividends.
So Candeloro marks, although she's kicked into the waiting arms of Nakori, who applies a brilliant smother, and she fights for it at ground level with consecutive efforts, driving it forward.
Foot race here, Trent. Holloway attempts to pick it up.
A 2-on-1 situation. You'd hope if you're a fan of the black and white, they'd win out through Rascoli.
It's a great tackle from
She's
Bogart.
set upon. Who was that, sorry?
Bogart.
Bogart it was, in fact. I knew that. Just testing you there, Will.
On my toes as ever, Trent.
As DeMarty heads off to the bench.
Nice little
replaced by Walker. Both been influential.
Absolutely. So we see a good little burst out of a pack there from Campbell. Might see her do it again. Instead, Botel applies pressure. So we see Farrago just charge out of the pack. Right foot Banana will find the boundary. And it'll be a Mitcham exit here, Trent.
Missed opportunity there. I think she had the wheels to turn there, and
probably didn't need to go to the banana either.
She had time and space, so not that Nunawading needed another goal, but certainly 6 points going begging, I reckon, there.
Absolutely. Holloway, who's been unbelievable this term for Mitcham, rock solid. She'll kick it forward in what could be the last scoring opportunity for Mitcham here this quarter. They're scoreless going into half time if they don't get one here, Trent. Good mark from Candeloro, who's been busy the last few minutes up forward for Mitcham. She'll send it forward.
It does hurt for me to say, but scoreless. It wouldn't be the first time this year. There will, but
pick up from Jackie. Even better pressure there from Enola Zamet. Just going to be watching the clock here. not too much longer for Mitcham. This will definitely be, as we see a scramble punt go inside forward 50 for Mitcham. Mitcham players definitely aware of the time, as you can tell just in their attack on the ball and energy. But unfortunately, a kick forward, we'll see the ball go out of bounds. And I think that's Curry, just very aware of the time, just taking her time. Just eating up the clock, Trent.
Smart play here
20 seconds left.
from Curry. She looks to wheel around and send a corridor kick. Jackie it was who stands underneath it. And Arira Scully who emerges.
10 seconds left.
Skews her kick forward.
Oh,
It'll be Zamet who tracks it. Can she get her hands free? She does in the end, although she has been pinged as the siren sounds, signalling half-time here at Walker Park Reserve. Mitcham scoreless on their home deck in Nunawading 4-1-25, so
unfortunate. I reckon if you gave them an extra 30 seconds, Trent, they were getting their first goal on the board. Zamet getting very busy up forward for them. Just couldn't quite find the big sticks. But credit where credit's due. Nunawading were good in defence. Hadn't been tested much that quarter, but they did stand up right towards the end.
So what would be the message heading into half-time if you're a Mitcham coach, sorry? Will?
I think their defence has been quite resolute, would be a word I'd describe.
Considering they've been pounded with inside 50 attempts and countless inside 50s, sorry.
No, absolutely. I think, they have been resolute, as you were just saying. It's not easy when you're getting bombarded. I think it's probably in the middle where they're losing it, and I like that they threw Stokes into the middle. She was really, really good, a barometer by the looks of things. When she was up, Mitcham were getting the ball forward, but I think the middle's where they're losing it, because as I said, Holloway and Heppel have been really, really good on the last line, and the fact that they're staying on the last line and that's what's keeping them in it, it's not full back that's not doing their job. It's probably from half back to half forward. That's where they're losing it in the middle. What would you...
So that Stokes ruck looks to be a ploy they've implemented to touch on that centre bounce.
No, absolutely. Lynette's been good in the ruck, don't get me wrong. She was very, very good, held her own there for the first half. I think it was just the injection, just the change. Sometimes you need to change some things when things aren't going
Changing of guard,
your way.
you're right.
Absolutely. So maybe Lynette being one of the taller players in Mitcham, she could go up to centre half forward, maybe even a full forward if they can get it that deep on a consistent basis. But yeah, I think Stokes probably get her in the middle. Ross Scully's been really good off half back and in the middle. Did you have any other players?
I just want to touch on Holloway. She's been probably a stalwart back there.
Yes.
Could she play that swing? I was going to say swing woman role, I guess, heading forward, or is she too vital down back?
I think she's probably too vital. We just haven't seen the ball go deep inside forward 50 enough to warrant Holloway going forward. Heppel, you could obviously leave her still there. She'll do the job. I think having both of them there is probably the reason, in all honesty, why they're not 7 or 8 goals down at halftime opposed to 4 or 5, or 25 points rather, as we look at the scoreboard. Your messages for the Nunawading team, Trent. Obviously, they've been very good. They're 25 points up. The defence has been flawless. They haven't even seen a score go against their name. Who are the players that have stood out for you, and what would you do to maybe turn this from a 25-point margin into a real 10-goal, 12-goal win?
I think Ferogi,
number 32. Yep, she's been good.
Farrago. She's probably been their most influential up forward. Considering that's where most of the play's been, it's probably hard not to have an impact down forward. But the likes of Damati, the headband wearing Damati, look, she's been tough at the source, and probably the reason they've got that ascendancy and that 25-point lead heading into the second half. As we'll probably leave it at that, listeners, and we'll hopefully be joined back with you on the other side of this.
See you soon. Welcome back to the second half of this Division 3 clash between Mitcham and Nunawading at Walker Reserve. We've got Mitcham heading out to their positions in a rush, Trent, and this is something we saw pre-game where they were well and truly prepared heading out. Nunawading, they were nowhere to be seen as they're only just running onto the ground now.
We probably spoke about their keenness more than the way they stood out there and were cold, I guess.
This is certainly something I've not seen too much of before, just running out from the race to position. Normally you might get some stretches or a crisscross drill done. No, they're right into it.
So Nunawading head to positions, looking to improve on their 25-point lead here for the second half. Welcome back, listeners, if you've just tuned in. If you're in the area of Walker Park Reserve, pop in, say hi.
Get Trent's autograph.
As the siren sounds. Two rucks will go at it again. It'll be Stokes who wins the hit out. A much improved Mitcham as they head forward. Corey fighting for it at ground level. Unable to collect cleanly, and it'll be a ball up.
I'm glad they stuck with Stokes going into the ruck early on, Trent. That's exactly what I talked about and we talked about going into half time. You see, Mitcham, high tackle, none will go their way, and this could be their first scoring shot on goal.
Is this the same Mitcham we saw in the first half, Will?
This first 40 seconds has been phenomenal. See, an intercept, attempted intercept there from Mitcham. Swooping off the hands of Nunawading, but Nunawading, they go forward.
So it'll be Walker with a clearing kick, only as far as Rascoli it was with the long sleeves, sorry. She'll look to follow up with a good tackle.
Another handball from Rascoli. A few desperate efforts there. As you see, well set up behind the ball is Chloe Stokes. Doesn't get the kick forward that she would have liked, head sideways, but looked like she's still finding her teammate, and she did in Campbell, but that still finds a ball up. See Stokes go back into the ruck.
As the rain still pelting down here at Walker Park Reserve. No signs of it clearing anytime soon. As Nunawading look to drive through, and she's probably unfairly pinged for holding the ball. Got her kick away in the end, but quick on it was the umpire in position.
I think that's Maddie Clark that's been rewarded for her efforts there.
Good eyesight there, Will. She looks to drive a kick forward, scrummaging through the pack.
This is a sensational first 2 minutes from Mitcham. Probably as good as you can get without hitting the scoreboard.
So DeMart in there, working in traffic.
Campbell well set up behind the ball there, Trent.
Stiff arm, a stiff arm it was.
In Richmond colours as well. Could there be something in that, Trent? Rascoli gets bumped off the ball fairly. And it's tucked in right around the boundary. Repeat efforts from her. Has been a constant all day, but it seems her teammates are doing it as well now, Trent. Certainly more noticeable than what it was in the first half anyway.
No doubt. As Stokes elevates again, winning the hit out. Brought down was a Mitcham midfielder.
It's Campbell.
DeMart applies the smother and then follows up with a tackle. It'll be
good centering ball.
Linnett with a high up and under inboard. Off hands, the ball squirting about.
From the boundary, centering ball. Tries to find Candeloro. And the ball did everything it could to bounce its way out of her hands.
They haven't got the rub of the green at the moment,
No,
Mitcham, but
all their good work.
Things starting to turn. Stokes again with a clear win of the hit out.
Mitcham very well set up behind the ball here as well, Trent. They've got Rascoli just following the path of the ball, the line of the ball.
She looks to be playing that sweeping role.
Now just finding herself towards our wing. Any exit kick towards our side, she'll have her hands all over it.
Although Marshall looks to close out her
Great hit out from
setup
Stokes again.
of the wall.
Marshall finds the ball first there for the kick out of defence from Nunawading.
So playing in front of Rascoli there.
Pays dividends. She'll just reset here, Marshall. Drop punt. Probably doesn't find the target she was hoping for. Nice little even match at the contest here. Both Nunawading and Mitcham streaming in to collect the ball. We see another soccer off the ground. And that'll be Bogard that tries to collect the ball. Campbell tries to soccer off the ground. Roscoli in and amongst it. Bursts away but slips over in the wet conditions. Walker tries to get a kick out but it's smothered. And we'll be pretty close to seeing a stoppage here with all this pressure. Roscoli finds herself another tackle, Trent.
She'd have to be leading the tackle count. I'm not sure if they keep those statistics, but
Campbell gets a good kick out, tries to go inside 50, gets tapped out straight away. She gathers her own ball, gives the stiff arm, and is brought down in a magnificent tackle from your girl, Trent. Corey.
Corey looked to play on there, the umpire unaware, sending her back in position.
Probably should have been allowed to play on there, Trent. She was pretty swift in her actions. That's right, she'll still find another 50 metres to gather herself and put it forward for another Nunawading here into open space. So the ball just scramble out, in and out and around packs. Attempted tackle there by Maddie Clark.
So signs of the opening few minutes of the game here with stop-start, plenty of stoppages, ball ups, you name it. But
the good thing though, Trent, is it is moving around the ground with stoppages. Last week in our Div 2 game between Montrose and Heathmont, there were consistent stoppages and they were in the same part of the ground.
Friendly fire with DeMart.
It's a nasty hit.
And surplus as she's down for the count. Players rushed to her aid. It was DeMart who cleaned her up. Accidentally, of course. Friendly fire.
Might see a stoppage in play here. She takes her time to get up.
She regains her feet. Looks to be okay.
Well held by Bogdan.
Sucking in the big ones though. As the two rucks go at it. Stokes wins it again.
Dominating in the ruck, Trent.
It won't be a hit out to advantages. Corey in there.
We'll say as well, it's becoming notable, and we picked up on it late in the second quarter, that chemistry between Stokes and Ellie Campbell, who's been hovering around under her in the midfield, has been great. They've worked very, very well together.
Rascoli now on her hands and knees. Said that before.
Surplus just takes a breather on the bench.
You'd have to say she's been best on ground so far because she hasn't been off it.
No, correct.
DeMart tracks it. Mitcham win out as they send a kick forward. It'll be Jackie who tracks it.
Good escape from Whalen there.
Whalen. She almost missed her boot as she tried to clear. Defensive 50. She'll follow up at ground level. And she emerges out of the pack. Had no options down the line, so she had to circle back into traffic. And it'll be Zamet who tracks it.
Great
She's
tackle
claimed.
from Backman.
Great.
She's
claimed.
Throw. That's an interesting call. I thought I may have seen a hand get to that, Trent, but that is an awesome tackle on the last line of defence by Backman.
Kudos to Backman there on the last line of defence. She'll go the corridor ball down the centre.
Oh,
in the waiting arms of a Mitcham
punching
player.
effort from Griffiths there.
And Campbell's claimed by Marshall. Pinged holding the ball.
This game is going up a notch, Trent.
Beat me to it there. This game, certainly the pressure gauge is lifted for both sides. Sensing the occasion. There's a kick down the line by Marshall. Stokes claims it with an overhead mark.
Pushes back off the mark quickly as well too, Trent. That's what I like to see.
She'll send it back inboard now. Corey traps it. Good first touch. And she's claimed in turn.
A lot of gang tackling today
in
as
an
well.
Outnumbered situation. You're right.
We see just miscellaneous players getting around the ball the last few seconds. Corey gets a breakaway. She gains another good 50 metres on her kick. Nearly hits the chest of an opponent for an intercept mark. just bounces off with this wet weather. Nice little one-on-one there between the two number 5s, Maddie Clark and Jessie Griffiths, as De Boer gets wrapped up in a tackle by Sutherland. So number 5's going out at Trent. Fitness of the two ruckmen here as well, Chloe Stokes and Uten Bogard for Nunawading.
So a shallow ball up when Nunawading went out. As they send it forward, DeMart goes off the ground. And Corey, playing that sweeping role, that running half back, she'll look to carry forward with a high up and under. Sent into the forward pocket. And rather unluckily, it'll trickle out. A bad bounce will go the way of Mitcham. Last touch rule will.
That'll be Petro to take the kick in. Finds Stokes, good pick up on ground level. Only gets a small handball away. Bogard fights in and around the ball and is gang tackled by Roscoli and Cope. Uten Bogard finds herself at the bottom of the pack as the ball scrambles out and right around the boundary. I think both teams would be happy with the ball up here. Let them reset. But a nice little handball out from O'Dwyer.
So in front of the coach's box we are. The ball will trickle back as the coach gets his first possession for the day, Will.
He does. You can see...
It was a throw, though.
It was, yeah. Maybe trying illegal disposal.
So they'll bring it in 5 metres inboard.
Just want to
the ball up. Take it away, Will.
Sorry, Trent. Just wanted to say that Kyla Murphy is now wearing arguably the best player so far from Nunawading, Nay Corey, like a glove down the middle of the ground.
A tagging roll.
I'm going to say run with
roll.
just for the reason that she's coming off half back. Probably, I mean, Kyla Murphy playing as a forward, she'll probably want to be running away from her at times as well going forward. But yes, looks to be like there's definitely a one-on-one matchup there, Trent.
So you can't knock Mitcham. They're certainly trying. There's an off-the-ground soccer by Linnett. We'll send it the way of that matchup that we just spoke about. Nay Corey will win out. So Marshall tracks it now. It'll be a one-on-one contest at ground level. And Mitcham now fight for it at ground level on the bottom of the pack as DeMarty stacks on. Stokes it was. So the big ruckman getting down and dirty. Long way down.
Roscoli just roaming. Oh, she's just been taken there by
Walker.
Was just roaming by herself on the outside of the stoppage. We see her now running towards the ball, pushing the back, I would have argued. Not paid. Stokes now in amongst her on the ground and a good tackle.
Just keep an eye on that matchup, Walker and Roscoli. There's tensions flaring, I think. As it is now DeMarty who
two of the better players today, Trent.
Tacks onto her.
Going head to head.
So the rucks go at it. Stokes again. She's won just about every hit out there was.
Absolutely. An inspired change from Mitcham. Despite the rewards not reaping yet, this could be something I think their coach could bring into play later on in this season. As Nay Corey went forward and Heppel on the last line of defence, she regathers herself. Heppel's off to Holloway. Holloway doesn't cleanly collect. And it's dangerous territory for Mitcham here as we see a goal. I believe that was Sutherland, 7 or 8 metres out from goal. And she kicked it through for Nunawading's 5th, Trent.
Well, so one-sided affair here at Walker Park Reserve. They had the numbers deep inside defensive 50 there and were unable to collect cleanly.
It's a shame.
Leading to that Sutherland goal, like you mentioned. It was Heppel and Holloway, the two H's deep in defence there.
It's a good gather by Heppel. Gave it off to Holloway, who's been excellent today on the last line of defence. Just couldn't quite gather it cleanly.
They've stood up strongly today, just not on that occasion when it mattered. So the all-important first goal in the second half goes the way of Nunawading, and they extend their lead to 31 points now. 5-1-31 to Mitcham scoreless. As the ball's socket off the ground, it'll sit on the forward arc of Nunawading's 50. A fight for it at ground level. Good tackle there by the Mitcham defender.
As Linnett tried to gather in the right forward pocket for Mitcham. Wasn't clean, so it will go out for what would be a boundary throw, but will be a ball up to date. Interesting to see Linnett now take the ruck going forward, and just watching Stokes, she'll go in with a bit of a mismatch there, sitting right in the hole for Mitcham.
On demand it is, so...
Now loose. Clark can get this ball back in. Looking dangerous is Stokes. Now finding herself with no opponent. Demanding the ball from Roscoli, who sees it out on the far wing going forward.
So she heads that way now, a high up and under. Stokes unable to complete the mark. It'll be Nakori who collects at ground level with a driving kick down the line. That had to have travelled 50 metres in the wet, skidding along the ground. As the ball's trickling about there, bubbling about, and off the ground soccer inboard, the way of Marshall.
Good pick up, Marshall.
Can she send it forward? She goes by hand to the way of Griffiths. Gaining territory, like we've said before. Pivotal in these wet weather conditions. Bogard now, a kick smothered going forward.
Great smothered to ball.
DeMart collects at ground level. It'll be Marshall.
Oh.
Can she collect? Can she get boot to ball? No, because Holloway was there and Heppel stood in her way. Although it's kicked through. Dowler again for a second. Dowler has a pair. It got hard to see there as numbers were like a bees to a honeypot, but the kick's been manufactured by Dowler, in fact. What do you make of that, Will?
Jeez, it was, again, I mean, the last two goals, I meant to touch on it, the last one that was just kicked by Sutherland, but Nakori has two scoring involvements that have led to two goals in the last few minutes. Her metre gainage is crucial, really. They seem to be getting their goals kicked on them, Mitcham, when they're sort of on the attack, on a fast break, should I say.
That was just too easy in transition from one end to the other. As Riscoli now with the centre clearance, she'll send a dribble kick forward, bouncing into the waiting arms of number 14, Backman, playing in that position. As Linnett now with a dribble kick forward, it trickles out of bounds, and it'll be a last touch rule going the way of Nunawading. So Mitcham now, it's probably do or die.
Absolutely, I think
they need to roll the dice here and try and manufacture something to draw this deficit back. It's extended to 37 points now. The kick's inboard now, and Stokes, with that mismatch, like you said, she'll mark. Uncontested in the end.
I think she's in range here, Trent.
Has she got the leg?
She'll certainly give it a good crack. I reckon it'll be close. Probably could have given herself more room. There's a little bit more room to go forward on the mark there, but that's all right. Find it to the top of the goal square. And now there's a loose ball in the inner left forward pocket. Great pick up there from Marshall, I believe that was. She'll gain some good ground. The board is turned inside out by her opponent in Megan Fogarty. Well, not Megan Fogarty, sorry. That'll be Surplus. I think my team's
so it'll be
mixed up
Coolin
there.
now, who lays on top of Stokes, and we'll have another ball up in the centre circle. So
seeing Enola Zamet just absolutely sprint back behind the ball. Looks like they're playing +1 now in defence, Mitcham. Could have been too little too late.
Too little too late. I was going to say, you probably beat me to it there, but I'd look to probably be flooding numbers the other way, in fact.
Good efforts from Linnett there. Keeps it inside Mitcham's forward 50. She gathers it again. Could this be their first score, Trent? Ball scrambles forward. Soccer off the ground. That is a great kick from Kelsey Simmons.
Simmons it was. So it was Linnett who kicked it into the path of Simmons there, and she was able to soccer off the ground to good effect.
It's probably, as much as Nunawading have been great in the contest today, it's probably a deserved goal for Mitcham. They have had some really good moments. They just haven't hit the score. I mean, late in the second quarter, we saw them probably beaten by the siren, and they've managed to just scrape one in here with a minute and a half left to go in the third quarter.
So Mitcham opened their account on their home deck. 1-0-6 to plays 6-1-37. So it's an uphill battle, but can that kick-start
Nice little clearance there from Lauren DeMarc, goes forward. Finds Staff in and around the ball, didn't quite get two hands to it. And it's a good tackle there from Bogard. And we'll see a ball up. Exactly 50 metres out from Nunawading's goal. Roscoli free at the contest here, Trent.
So on the arc it sits. Stokes will go at it alongside Coolin. The height advantage going the way of Stokes. You could almost put your money on her to win this hit out, as she does, straight down the throat of Roscoli, who's off to the races.
Oh.
She's caught though by Marshall in a dumping tackle, probably the tackle of the day. You can't knock her for trying, but Marshall with a dumping tackle, like I said.
She's got 15 seconds to get it forward here for a score, Trent. I don't think she's quite seen the clock. Rightly so, with a good tackle. Just an intercept mark.
She's kicked it into the waiting arms of Candeloro, was it? The blue boots, maybe? It's sent down the line as Roscoli looks to collect at ground level, but the siren beats her. That'll end an enthralling term. So Mitcham able to get their first score on the board. But
what was there any improvements did you see, Trent, in that third quarter for Mitcham? Obviously they got their first score on the board. We've talked a lot about Stokes. Was there anywhere else in the team or just some structural plays that you thought worked in their favour?
They probably won. You'd put up an argument that they won that quarter. So they had a lot of the ball inside their forward 50, probably more of the possession. And it was good to see that they were able to capitalise on the scoreboard. Although Nunawading, with minimal inside 50s, were able to do the same. So it's, I mean, all square that quarter, I believe, with a goal apiece. But we'll see what awaits us in the final term. Can Mitcham pull off a comeback win for the ages? Welcome back, listeners, to the EFNL coverage of the Deakin Uni Senior Women's competition. The Mitcham Nunawading clash, two crosstown rivals going head to head here for the final term. Will, you just wanted to make a point about the youth of Nunawading?
Yeah, I was just going to say...
Or the youth of Mitcham, sorry.
Rather. Yeah, I think Nunawading, they've so far outclassed Mitcham. I do think it's easy to look at it just at that on face value, but I think Mitcham do seem to be quite a youthful team, probably still trying to find their feet at EFNL level. Nunawading have probably outclassed them with experience more than anything. We've seen glimpses from everyone. Stokes has probably been the main one who we've touched on many a time today, so we won't go too much more into that now. But young guns like Rascoli and also the likes of Holloway down back, they've been really good. But from an experience point of view, it's definitely all in favour of Nunawading, and that's shown on the scoreboard today.
So Mitcham now, can they fly the flag? Can they fly the flag and build some momentum into the following week? You could probably almost pencil in another Nunawading win, but that's not what it's about for Mitcham here. They'll look to still fight. As Rascoli, as she's done all day, applies the tackle. It'll be Campbell now and Stokes with a clearing kick to Jackie as it dribbles across that synthetic pitch for a stoppage.
Sutherland getting in amongst it. A little bit higher at the ground at the moment than she was when she kicked that goal. Just keeping involved. She's being played on by Dwyer from Mitcham.
So Trevor Haig, the coach of Nunawading, he'd certainly be he'd be over the moon with this contest here. Obviously coming off their first win of season 2022 last week, so they'll go two on the trot and get their season rocking and rolling.
Heckle getting back up and laying a good aggressive tackle after Nate Corey hit her with a pretty hard but fair bump. She goes again for a tackle, tries to steal it off Rascoli. Two very good players in this league going head-to-head, Trent.
It's probably the first time they've locked arms today, playing at either end of the ground, but it'll be Walker now and DeMart fighting for it at ground level as Rascoli head under wins possession, but it'll be a ball up. So certainly not sure if you can hear that over the mics here, but the Nunawading bench very vocal in their instructions.
Absolutely, they want more, Trent. They want more than a 5-goal
as Whalen now sends it forward into the path of Farrago. It's a bit of a tongue twister.
It was good early on, first quarter particularly. First and second, actually, I should say. Nunawading bench really directing their players behind the ball here, making sure they set up and the ball doesn't exit as well as Mitcham would like. Ball finds the hand of Petro.
Well, percentage is a big thing in these women's competitions, so
absolutely
something they'd look to add to as much as they can.
Slightly shorter quarter than some of the men's games.
Yeah,
many percentages.
And just touching on the men's games, if you've just joined us, it'll be Mitcham taking on Montrose away, so it'll be over at Montrose if you're looking to head there this afternoon. Rug up, stay warm.
See a ball up on the outer wing. 65 out from Nunawading goal.
So just a bit of a lull in play at the moment.
Not too much happening. Wind is picking up though, Trent, to the right of screen. So hopefully that'll give Mitcham some legs going forward. As we see a soccer forward.
Leonard it was. Into the path of a one-on-one.
Good pressure from Curry there.
Both players unable to keep their feet.
Curry didn't find the ball there, Trent, but she applied a good pressure and allowed time for her teammates to catch up and do the work for her. Great defensive effort.
So Jackie goes against Stokes. Unable to win out. Backing back in there was a Mitcham midfielder. As she slings. Who was that?
That was Maddie Clark applying the tackle.
On Whalen. So Whalen held without it there. And she'll be awarded the free kick at centre ground there. Looking to add more pain to this Mitcham side.
Just a
As
quick
she
one.
sends it forward. Go ahead.
Just going to say, the addition of Tucky Jackie into the ruck for Nunawading I do like. Somewhat nullified Stokes so far this quarter. Stokes still getting her hands on the ball first and winning the hit-outs, but has nullified her a little bit as we see this next ball up. Might give us a good insight.
So the ruck's certainly been on a rotation basis today.
Absolutely.
It's Rascoli again burrowing her way through.
It's been a tougher job than what we've seen so far in the women's comp across this year. As we said, there has been times where stoppages have all been in together within a small radius, but today they've been around the ground, which makes it harder. Obviously, the fitness levels have to be elite to be able to do it all day.
So Stokes now with a kick inboard and a great tackle, clinging tackle unrewarded on Nakori.
Nakori goes bang again.
So the umpires put the whistle away today as Nakori's bumped off it again. I just mentioned a lull in play before. That isn't the case at the moment as a dribble kick's gone forward. For Nunawading, it'll be Backman who tracks it.
One to note, Trent Heppel, who we said was very good on the last line of defence alongside Holloway for Mitcham. She's been thrown forward this quarter.
So last touch rule will go the way of Backman, like I said. Playing that defensive role that her last name is accustomed to. She sends it forward. It'll trickle past Rascoli at ground level. She's fighting for it again. Can't knock her efforts, Will, today.
No, absolutely not.
You can throw Stokes in that conversation again. She's been influential in that ruck position, gaining them first hand in the centre clearance.
The second half has been outstanding. Rascoli's probably a more consistent performer. Not that Stokes wasn't performing in the first half, but I think in and around the ball in the ruck the second half, we've seen a lot more of her. That was Walker going in for the ball hard there. Wrapped up very cleanly by the Mitcham defenders. So we see a ball up 40 metres out from the Mitcham goal in the right forward pocket. Backwards tap from Stokes there, trying to find Rascoli behind the ball. So we see Heppel gather it. Right foot kick in, but Marshall finds herself hovering around the hot spot. She's got space here, Trent.
She can go. She's dribbled a kick inboard. Probably not the best option. The waiting arms of Candeloro.
It was a hard hit from Walker, but fair.
So Marshall had time and space then. She opted not to run and carry, but that'll mean a stoppage as it's locked in.
Good pick up from Walker there, but to no avail. And we'll see a stoppage. Fair few numbers around the contest here. This is probably the closest we've seen so many players around this game. See 7 or 8 people around the contest for yet another stoppage. So it's an interesting setup in front of the ball for Mitcham. We've got Stokes now out of the ruck and she's by herself, Trent. If we can get one more kick from Mitcham, she will be all by herself. What will be a certain goal. I'm not sure Nunawading have picked up on it, but Mitcham just one kick away from getting their second goal. Curry gets a small kick out. Nakori tries to gather. Rascoli also tries to gather. So we see the two young guns battle out again.
So Rascoli on her hands and knees again, lunging for it. Stokes is still there, waving her arms. She has to be offside.
Yeah, absolutely offside. I don't see the linesman putting up the flag.
Catching the Nunawading defence off guard here. Can they make them pay? Is the question.
Jackie comes off for arrest for Nunawading. Cullen injected into the game.
So kick goes forward. Stokes will sit. She'll wait. Hopefully Heppel can track it and send it back her
Turns
way.
her inside out.
She does that. Stokes is there. Can she collect cleanly? She does. And it'll send a kick forward. Just like they drew it up. Stokes goals.
We called it, Trent. That was quite slack on Nunawading's behalf. We haven't seen that at all today. They've been absolutely on the ball, but I think for such a dangerous player like her to be sitting by herself so far behind the ball, it's a big risk. And unfortunately, they paid the price there.
So Stokes kicks their second of the day, cherry picking in the goal square, if you like.
Has to be done. Just like to highlight a great turn inside out from Heppel there
Heppel
as well.
it was.
Great agility to just...
She was aware of the Stokes unmanned.
Yeah, absolutely. Good awareness from her.
Unwoman.
Just work her opponent around the ball. That's their second of the day. So a 25-point lead to Nunawading halfway through the last quarter here at Walker Reserve. Back
During
in the ruck.
sorry, Will,
No,
to
go
cut
for
you
it.
off there. Continue, actually.
So we see Nay Corey go for the ball. Tackle pressure has probably dropped off. We see he's been distracted by an injury coming off here for Nunawading. As Roscoli gets a nice little soccer forward. I need 4 eyes at the moment, Trent. Things happening everywhere.
So DeMart now with a clearing kick. Stokes, she's playing that swingman role.
She's gone from playing loose in the forward, at full forward to playing loose behind the ball in a matter of minutes.
So backman trying to pirouette out of trouble.
Slightly outnumbered there, but this stoppage will help them reset.
As we just keep one eye on the game and one eye on a limping Nunawading player here. She's hobbling off, unable to put any pressure on her left foot, I believe. So not good signs after a good day out for Nunawading here.
Absolutely.
As a free kick's been picked out the way of Bautel. I just wanted to touch on before we mentioned during the female footy focus podcast during the week, and scoring inaccuracies seem to be a common occurrence. But today's battle, obviously with the one behind kick today, in difficult conditions, it must be said.
Absolutely.
Kudos to both sides in that regard. As the mark's been taken by Candeloro.
We'll touch on that back in a second. Might even be Caitlin Jennings.
Jennings it is. Hard to tell with that yellow stripe.
Going right through the numbers.
Yellow sash.
Nay Corey comes off for a well-earned break.
You got an injury update on that Nunawading player?
Nothing's
looks to be out of our vision.
Yeah, nothing's come across our desk yet.
We'll keep you updated as best we can there, if you're listening. As Roscoli sends a kick forward and Stokes, they've worked in tandem all day, and she picks her out with a pinpoint delivery.
Let's see if your comment on the accuracy of the kicking can be applied here, Trent.
Better not come back to hurt me as Stokes sends a kick goalward.
Never in doubt.
Never in doubt.
Get
and she's ecstatic with her efforts, and so she should be.
She's got 2 in 5.
A
Trent.
great set shot goal from a 45-degree angle, 30 metres out, and she has sent that straight over the goal umpire's hat.
Absolutely.
So Mitcham getting a late run on.
Most health professionals, they recommend 2 in 5, 2 fruit and 5 vegetable. I think most coaches, they'll recommend 2 goals in 5 minutes, Trent, and Stokes has done just that.
I was a bit lost for a second there, but I'm glad you brought that back to the footy.
It's full circle.
As we are back in the circle as well.
Just the one circle here today,
So
Trent.
Candeloro now fighting for it at ground level with Marshall, and there'll be a ball up.
It's been a very impressive last 7 or 8 minutes from Mitcham. Everything that they've tried, they've been very good at trying to execute the plans that have been put on paper today. I think it's all just coming together nicely this last 7 or 8 minutes.
You mentioned a good couple of minutes for Mitcham there. It's probably been single-handedly Stokes who's probably willed them.
Yes, Nay
more
Corey
than
been good
anything.
at, it's not Nay Corey, sorry, Roscoli.
Roscoli as well. They seem to be on the same page as all ruckman and midfielders should be. As the kicks forward, Farrago. She hasn't been sighted for a while now. She sends a high up and under. How does it bounce? Marshall will track it. She goes by hand. Dowler it is. She's got two. She's kicked her third. Sensational effort forward. And like we've seen all day, goal for goal. So Mitcham, or Nunawading, sorry, with the quick answer.
Dowler so far this game, so as you mentioned, Trent, she's got 3. I think she's been a very good receiver of not just right place, right time, but I mean, effectively her positioning really. She hasn't had too many more touches that haven't been shots on goal. But if you've got a player in your team that's kicking goals 50 or 60% of the kicks that they're taking in the game, you're going to take that every single day of the week, especially when they're kicking 3.
She seems to just pop up in the right spot at the right time. You're right.
Very high impact player.
As the kicks forward now.
Oh, it just charges down the middle of the ground. Gained a good 70 metres. Oh,
that was Holloway it was.
Bordering 80.
Holloway it was. She sends it deep inside forward 50.
Nice little efforts from Backman. Mitcham trying to go goal for goal here. Reply to the response.
So great tackle applied there on Marshall it was. Doing it at both ends. As the kick comes inboard now.
Oh, looking dangerous here, Nunawading, if they can get their hands on the
ball.
ball.
The blue boots of Sutherland, I believe, with a clean pickup.
Surplus trying to get her hands on the ball.
Great tackle on Bogard. As Walker now applies a good bump on that girl again in Holloway.
Well done from the umpire.
Seems to be just patrolling that centre ground there.
The rain's coming down hard at Trent as the intensity continues to lift in the game with just 4 minutes left. And despite what would now be considered an unassailable lead to Nunawading, it's good to see both teams still going 100%.
So if you're a Mitcham coach right now, you'd have to be impressed with the effort shown, the ability to fight late in this game and put some respect back on your team or on your club.
Absolutely.
In the dying stages of this last term.
Colin gets gang tackled in probably the heaviest downpour of rain we've seen today. The wind's picking up. I'm currently wishing I brought another jumper and jacket.
So Stokes again will win the hit out. Rascoli and Damate at ground level fighting for it.
Jackie and Nakori just sit on the sideline here, hoping to get on for the last 3 minutes of the game. That was Walker who tried to collect a chest mark. Nakori.
And Holloway's collected a Nunawading player in Bogard. Rather high. Unrewarded though.
Heppel puts on the burners. Assisted by Petro. As we see a stoppage lurking, but not quite pulled the trigger on.
So Liddett now looks to burst clear, although she's been stripped of the footy.
It's an interesting decision. The umpire seemed to hold the whistle for 7 or 8 seconds with the previous gathering of the ball, and this one's been called quite quickly.
Not a fan of that being paid, but it's not for me to judge as Stokes sets up the wall. She's there in an outnumbered situation Mitcham's way, although she's handballed it straight in the waiting arms of a Nunawading midfielder there.
Game of pinball for a second there.
Rascoli at ground level again. I'm just keeping an eye on the Mitcham, on Nunawading Nakori, trying to stay warm on the sidelines here as she.
I briefly tried to touch on it before, just really trying to keep warm.
It's comical. It's comical.
Very, very cold conditions at the last part of this game at Walker Reserve. Nakori been one of the better players so far today.
So Stokes there. She seems to have collected Jackie High, who's complained to the umpire. It's unrewarded, but Stokes wins the hit out again. It's been a fascinating watch, seeing her elevate and rise over her opponent.
It has been. We're obviously not too familiar with her role in the rucks up until today so far this year, but if this
Rascoli now goes into the path of Holloway. tracks at
Heppel.
Heppel, sorry, tracking it at ground level in a 2-on-2 situation.
I also would
All square.
I'd like to point this out, Trent. She's been good up forward. She was very good down back. Has been good on the higher end of the forward line. Seems to be a nice little versatile swing woman.
So ticking down to the final minute of today's game. Two crosstown rivals, Mitcham and Nunawading.
Mitcham probably the only team that can add to their score at this point in the game.
I'm no good at maths, but 43 plays 18.
That'll be 25.
25 points separating is the margin here at Walker Park Reserve.
Nakora getting on for the last half a minute here.
So with the siren imminent, all kudos goes the way of Nunawading here as they record their second win, back-to-back wins of season 2022 in this third division.
Absolutely.
Taking care of business today away from home.
Curry to have the last kick of the game.
With a convincing win over Mitcham.
Gets a nice little metres gained added to her stat sheet for today. Picked up by Maddie Clark.
As the siren sounds here, jubilation on the Nunawading bench with coach Trevor Haig recording his first or second win of season 2022. Like we mentioned, the players surround him, stoked with the efforts of the girls today, I imagine. A convincing 25, they run out convincing 25-point winners today in difficult conditions, it must be said.
Absolutely credit to both sides with the way that they went about it. We did see a lot of soccering, probably the first and second term. That did dry out, contrary to the conditions. It actually rained a lot more in the second half, but both teams probably realised that soccering was only really a temporary solution to getting metres gained. Yeah, and just clean hands on the ball and getting it forward. Certainly improved as the game went on. As both teams cheer each other and applaud what was a very good game of football, despite what the scoreboard might read. There were things to like, Trent. And what was any players or general team comments from you?
I think Damati, the way of Nunawading there, number 3, the headband wearer, she was influential at the source, winning it in the centre. I think alongside her and Faragi, I keep getting that name wrong.
Farago.
I should just avoid it, but she was influential again, very impactful forward. Alongside Dowler it was with her 3 goals.
Very high impact player, as we spoke about, Trent. Not as many touches as some of her teammates, but you don't need to get much of the ball when you're kicking goals like she was today. There's a nice little crowd on the sideline just gathered for Marshall from Nunawading. A few fans here.
And you'd be happy if you're a fan of the black and yellow. You'd be happy. You're pleased with the efforts of Mitcham, fighting till the final siren there.
Particularly that second half, I think, and they really lifted.
They certainly won that last quarter, if not the second half. So good signs to work on during the week and to follow up for next week. I'm not sure who they're playing, but it'll be an important contest nonetheless.
Absolutely. Did you have a 3-2-1 you wanted to give to anyone, Trent, for today?
I'll leave that to the coaches. I'll let them do the voting.
Very good.
But no, I just want to thank you, Will, for today's call. Certainly had a lot of fun doing it. So that'll just about wrap us up here at Walker Park Reserve. Any final words, Will?
Always a pleasure, never a chore, Trent. Thank you very much for everyone listening. It's always a pleasure calling for those watching, and alongside Trent Cossa. That I think will do us at Walker Reserve, and we'll be seeing you sometime very soon. Well done to Nunawading and Mitcham today, and what was a good spectacle in tough conditions.